Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for coming to today's session. We'll be solving a problem which has been already identified, and then we'll be using multiple different steps to solve the problem. So now I request Vikalp to actually express the problem in detail, and the next step will be that all three of you will be requested to ask questions to identify the problem more and know the problem in detail and try to see what exactly the problem is. Yeah, to Vikalp.
Yeah, so hello everyone. So on the first stage of problem identification, since you all know, we have been living in a hostel life for the past 6 to 7 years. So we all know what are the problems that we are facing in the hostel itself. So the major problem that we are facing here is that improper cleaning or inefficiency in the cleaning in the boys hostels, and this is the very general and common problem that we all face. So I have been in touch with the cleaning staff of our hostel itself, and I have gathered some information regarding what the problems the cleaning staff is facing, and due to which there is lack in improper cleaning is there also.
Now that we know this is the problem, do you understand the problem in depth, or do you have any questions regarding the problem? And you can freely ask.
No, sir.
So you understood the problem.
Yes.
And what about you?
Yes, sir. I have understood the question.
Yeah.
Yes, I have understood the question clearly. Like it's regarding for the cleanliness purpose in the hostel, especially in boys' hostel. So yes, it's totally understandable.
Yeah, it is. So first of all, the timing of cleaning staff is quite different from the students' morning time and classes time, and that whenever we want the cleaning staff, whenever we ask the cleaning staff to come in our room, they totally avoid, and there is no proper a spreadsheet or that time schedules of the cleaning staff, that you have to knock the door at what time, and what time the students are available, and what type of cleaning they want. That sometimes they use just the water, they didn't use any chemical, they are not doing their work in a proper manner.
Okay. So we can, as my fellow has told about a brief about the problem, so we can identify the problems in respect to certain categories. For example, like he told about the timings. So we can say, yes, the timings is one of the factor here itself. Second, he told about the number of the resources or the equipments that a proper cleaning staff should have. So the cleaning staff, one of the problems should be that cleaning the resources are not there. Another, what I perceive is that you are saying that there is a lack of a proper structured timetable, that at what time they should come to the room for the cleaning,
Yeah.
as compared to the timings of the classes of the students.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are basically solutions. Those are solutions, possible solution. But right now we are thinking about only problem. What exactly the problem is? Problem is that one is the timing.
If one person is working in one floor, first floor, second floor, and third floor, like they are divided all the floors for every staffs. But the bathroom section and room section staffs, it's totally different as compared to if we see in our department that when we requested those person that please do the cleaning do the cleaning properly, but they didn't listen our words, because they told us that we are not permanent staff, and so why we do this thing.
One thing I want to add into this is that apart from the proper timetable, if we even schedule a timetable, they tend to come according to their own wish, like which room they have to start, like from east side they have to start or from the west side they have to start, and after that they just ask for that that do you want cleaning, but due to the timing clash of student with the classes, they they just ask it for the sake of the thing that students should avoid that thing, and they tend to get refusal from that, so they don't work according to that. And the second thing is the there are less number of people who are employed in this, so the staff should be increased so that proper timing should be given to them. One of the another problem is that during the cleaning, the housekeeping staff tend to clean only the open space, apart from the other things that need to be cleaned, like under the bed or the window panes and the ceiling fans, that they just do on saying. If we will not say, they will not do it for a year also. So that things also need to be done properly. Just they do it on the open space and they left all other things.
So we can, I think we can add this point into the sincerity of and the attitude of the cleaning staff. We can add this point to that also. Okay.
Okay, so one of the major problem that I have seen is in hostel the sleep cycle of each student is very different. Like some of the students sleep at 3 a.m. and wake up at 11. Some sleep at 5 a.m. and wake up at 12. And for the cleaning staff, their time is fixed. Like they need to clean their room specifically between the 8 to 10 a.m. So what happens is there is a mismatch between the timings. So what happens is they generally knock the door and students don't open it. So due to this reason, what happens is they are unable to clean those particular rooms for those students whose sleep cycle is very different from the normal one. So this is one of the problem that I feel is very very important. Another problem related to washrooms that I see is what happens is due to the lack of water, the flush like the students don't flush. So so here basically the water like the lack of water is there. So here there is no the cleaning staff is not responsible for it, but majorly I would say the department like the authority who is responsible for the water management. I think that in that particular moment that department is responsible for that, where the water sometimes not comes, and due to which it raises to the problems like this flushing type of problem, and which raises the problem of this unhygienic conditions. So these are some of the problems which I think are important.
Okay, good, thank you. So let us have the conclusion that we have listed down all the problems. Yeah, hello everyone, and thank you for participating in this exercise. In this exercise, we are going to take a problem and understand in depth, and then try to solve it using a method, and then we are going to evaluate also. So the problem, what Vikalp has understood, that there is a lack of space in the workshop, and so you can explain the problem in more depth.
Yes, sir. So here we are with the second exercise regarding with that the lack of enough space in our workshop, and is there as improper space management in our workshop itself. So what we are going to do, we have to first identify all the types of problems that we are going to face because of this major issue. So the first problem that what I think is that since workshop consists of large machines itself, and many students, the staff has to work along with the many students. So what I think is that the problem what we are facing of the space management, that at a particular time, too many students are to have the classroom in the small spaced, in a confined space workshop. So what I think is that too many students at a time is a major issue in that.
In addition to that, what I've observed is, like, in order to accommodate large number of machines, more number of machines, the space between the subsequent machines is very small. So one operator who's working on a machine and a second operator who's working on a different machine often collides with one another because the space between the machines is very small. So that also I think need to be taken care of.
According to me, the next problem that could be according to space management like working area wherever the student or workshop staffs are working, that should be like the area should be enough so that ki amount of number of students and workshop staffs can accommodate in that area too. Like suppose we are working in particular area and the area available is that much not that is not much enough, so that a 10 or 12 member can stand properly and do their job. So according to me, that could be a problem.
So you mean to say that the space between respective machines is not according to the standards, rules and regulations that has to be there. Okay. So
regarding the problem that we are facing regarding the space management in a workshop is that the crowding is one of the main issue. If your students are in large numbers and the skilled workers, they're not able to manage the space according to the proper units. So if we can, if the characterization is proper of the space, then the students can be managed easily, and the crowding and also the proper working and all the other operations during the machining operation, any other operation can be done very efficiently.
One more major problem because of this less space that we are also facing, that because since in a very confined space we tend to see that for example the casting process is going on at a very confined space, and close to that the other machines are also there. So for a particular casting process there is an improper ventilation issue with that because of the confined space. So it often tends to affect that it is not a proper condition to work upon. So because of this space, I think the ventilation is not as much good as it can be.
In addition to that ventilation problem, we have seen that in our workshop the windows are not completely sealed. So in summer times or in the dry season, when the wind is very very rapid here, the speed of the wind is very high in these conditions, then we see that the dust particles, the sand particles often enters the workshop and it contaminates all the machines. Even it affects the eyes of the operator, and it becomes very difficult to work in that situation. So for that, even the ventilation should be proper, and the windows also should be should not be in the state which they are now.
One another major problem that I have seen, that the emergency exits. In case of an emergency, although we have the number of emergency exits, but in case of an emergency, if there are so many people and if any mishappening happens, so emergency doors are, I don't think it is of insufficient big doors are there.
Even the number is less.
Even the number is less. So what I can say is the less number of emergency exits with smaller sizes. This is the main problem.
In continuation to that, we have seen that in order to install new machines and to make separate compartments, one of the door which had a ramp is now inaccessible, is not accessible because the new compartment had been made and the door has been permanently shut in the workshop.
So what we can say that due to insufficient planning, the existing facilities was shut down because of new facilities that has been brought.
Because of the improper designing and the air ventilation issue, if any natural disaster may happen, so for that case like fire or any other disaster, the students or the staff members cannot easily exit through the doors because of the improper position of the machines at the improper places. So it's one of the major problems that need to be verified for the proper planning of the workshop facilities.
Other than improper entry as well as fire hazards or all those, there is a other problem also, like when we visit our workshop, you can see lot of scraps are laying over different corners, and that is taking lot of space of the workshop that is not being used properly. So there is a lack of storeroom so that we can dump our scraps and scraps and as well as unused components that are not being used, like raw material, along with the like if we are going to do machining, so scrap is something like chips, burrs that is forming,
So you-
and
you-
unused and waste particles,
You mean
waste
to say
materials.
that, because of this lack of improper waste management, it is directly affecting our space management in the workshop
There should be a
itself.
proper location for the exposure for the wastage.
Okay, okay.
Like there should be a go-to place for the raw material and a go-to place to dump the scraps.
One more problem that I often tends to find out is that the tools that use we can see that there are so many tools and they which are designated to a particular machining operation, but since improper planning is there, the tools are not at a sufficient space, like you can say tools get intermixed. So don't you think this can be a problem with that?
The problem with related to the tools is because like most of the tools are used in all the shops that we have in workshop, like the casting shop, forging shop, machining shop, the different shops we have, but there is no clear demarcation where the one shop ends and the other shop starts. So that is why the tools often gets interchanged among these shops, and the operator or the students who are working on them, they have to look for these specific instruments or the tools around the entire workshop, and then they can find it. Like ones who is working on one corner of the workshop often has to travel to the other corner to a long distance to find a specific tool which he needs.
Continuing to last problem, that due to like there is a lack of tool kits, as Gaurav and Vikap suggested. Similarly, in our workshop you can find only one aquaguard for water, and if your student is working at one of the corner, in between if he feel thirsty he has to go the other corner of that, and that will again waste of time for him or any other member. So due to lack of proper space, there is less water purifier, or you can say aquaguard, to supply of drinking water.
Yeah, in addition to that, we can say that not only the drinking water, the other facilities like students use, if someone used to use water as one of the resources, so he has to travel a lot of distance for that. In addition to this, what I have seen is that we can talk about the sitting area for the staff peoples that are already there. Although we know that in workshop, people tends to work while standing, but when the work is not going on. So what do you think, that is the sitting area is sufficient enough? But because what I feel is that the number of staff persons are there, maybe we can improve, or the sufficient sitting area is not so good.
And other than sitting area, even we can see that sitting area is in between two different machines. I think there should be a proper sitting room or compartment for them, so that in between it will not, so like they are sitting in current situation, they are sitting just in an open space, that is in between two different kind of machines. There is a space they used to sit there. So if someone is working in between those and he has to exchange, then he has to go through different path to reach that proper machine. So improper sitting arrangement, or you can say they need to have a different room or compartment for their sitting area.
In addition to that, we have seen that there are many components in the workshop which makes loud noise. So I think these machines should also have a separate compartment, so that the noise can be compressed, or it can be prevented from coming into the entire workshop, because noise pollution.
There is insufficient soundproofing.
Like we have the air compressor, which is used to regulate or supply the compressed air to the entire workshop through pipelines. So there is a single compressor which is placed at one corner of the workshop. When that compressor is on, the entire we cannot speak there. We have to speak very loudly to communicate with one another. So I think that compressor, either it should be placed outside, or separate chamber should be made, so that the sound damping can be obtained there.
The problem is that soundproofing is not.
And it is much more difficult for all the operators who stay entire day over there, and they have to experience this loud noise throughout the day.
And in addition to that, I would also like to say that as we all know that for a particular machine to be operating, it has to be operated at a particular parameters, for example temperature. So what I have seen that, for example, if a machine that is required to that tends to go during machining a high temperature, then its temperature has to be controlled, but we don't have a sufficient air conditioning system for that. So this is also a space management problem, that because of this the machines often tends to break down. So what I feel is that this is another big issue with that.
Similar with continuation to your problem, like in our in present situation, different machines are being arranged in a sequence manner, and like in between, suppose there is a two lathe machine, next to it my milling machine is placed. So suppose that lathe machine requires some proper working condition, but milling machine is again placed nearby it, and it has to work on, suppose it has to work in different working condition. So due to lack of space, they have arranged in such a way, but they are not providing particular or like proper air conditioning. As you say, air conditioning for the working devices is much required, but it is not there in our workshop.
Yeah, which is ultimately
affecting the component as well as efficiency of the machines.
Machines and staff people also.